Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
All right.
Just like this. Monday. It just moves so fast, man. The week just... Isn't it crazy?
It's crazy. You know why that is? That means we're getting older, Ted, when the time goes fast like that.
Oh, that's not it, is it?
Yeah, I think.
It needs to slow down before you know we'll be 80 years old. Doing this podcast. Falling asleep on this podcast.
That's what happens when you keep waking up. You get older.
You get older. Well,
I've been 28 for the past few years. So
that's it. 28. That's right.
All right.
Monday.
So Ted, you were at Norfolk State's homecoming this past weekend.
What a grand time we had at Norfolk State University homecoming. But I'm tired. Eric. I'm tired, Malene. I'm tired. Just can't do it like you used to. Just nonstop. Go. Go to the game. Go to the party. Do this. No, you got to squeeze in a nap.
I'm thinking that we need to make the Monday following your homecoming needs to be just a holiday.
That's it.
We just take the time to recuperate.
That's it. But it was great. It was great to see, old friends and, looking at the school and how it's, how they put all these new buildings and all that stuff, man. So it was really good, really good.
Absolutely. So speaking of homecomings, this coming weekend is Hampton University's homecoming. And I will actually be there doing a book signing on Friday, October 21st.
Nice.
At 4:00. So I'll be signing copies of my book, The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. So meet me at Hampton in front of the Student Center on Friday, October 21st at 4 p.m.
All right.
But this is not your everyday podcast, Ted.
No. Did you tell Malene?
I didn't. We didn't talk about that. That Malene, this is a little different. We do things a little different here on the 30-Minute Hour.
Unorthodox, a little different.
That's right. But you can watch us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube live and in real time by going to the search bar, typing in the 30-Minute Hour, and you'll see us live. You can also go back and listen to these episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any of those other places that you like to consume podcasting content. So today we're going to talk.
Right. Not just any old content, podcasting content.
Right. There's a lot of content you can consume, but if you're looking for some podcasting content, make sure you check out the 30-Minute Hour.
Absolutely.
In those places. So today we're going to talk about the secret to growing your impact and your income. And I've got a guest who's coming all the way from Denmark.
Yeah, it is a long way.
All the way. How was the traffic getting here?
Internet speed traffic.
Internet speed. Good answer. What time is it in Denmark?
It's midnight.
Oh, we're good. It's early. We all night. You're not tired or anything, are you?
Gotta hustle.
She's gonna mess around and hang up on us.
Right. That's right.
That's it. I'm done.
I'm out of here. It's 12:45.
I can't take it anymore. I'm done. All right. So but hailing from Denmark, we're definitely honored to have her with us. She helps entrepreneurs with a teaching or speaking business to grow their impact, income, and loyal customer base. For the past 5 years, she's been a book coach, author, book editor, ghostwriter, podcaster, blogger, and public speaker.
He is somebody.
I'm telling you.
That's why we work midnights.
That's it. Who needs sleep? Who needs sleep?
Sleep is overrated. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast, Malene Bendtsen.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, welcome to the show. It's truly an honor. I was just doing my research, and I came across this information that you actually started helping entrepreneurs grow their income and impact at age 8.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a funny story because I'm a book coach now, and I've been for the past 5 years. And a few years into that journey, I actually realized, oh my goodness, I've done this before. And I remembered how I, as a girl, I think it was 8, I created a library in my room, and I invited all of the kids in the neighborhood to come and read my books, and I had little pieces of paper that they could write their own stories. And
Oh wow!
I'm kind of the person who I'm always hunting for something new. So it probably lasted a week. But I did have that thinking already back then. Obviously, I took a completely different road afterwards. But I did remember that when I was in a situation that kind of reminded me, I actually had a library once. And I was a very a common guest or frequent guest at our local library as well. I was reading a ton of books always. So yeah, so my book journey at least started back then.
You know that's interesting because I can relate to that. Like I can remember a time. I mean, I wasn't 8, but I was younger. I mean, like I could go to like one of those bookstores and just start reading books.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that thing that you could just do that could be an indication of what you're supposed to do.
yeah, 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 definitely. Yes, since I've really taken a there's the only red thread there is in my career is really I've always thought it's something with moving minds or thinking from A to B or even C. But that's kind of the only red thread there is. It's always been a little bit on coincidence somehow, but also you could say opportunistic. Yeah.
Interesting. So, like,
I've
if you could go back knowing what you know now and talk to your 8-year-old self, I mean, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think I would tell myself to create my own journey, to
Hmm.
figure out what was important to me and create my own journey. I also think that the world has changed since then. Even though I look 29, I'm not. So we didn't have any digital or information businesses back then. So there's a lot of other opportunities now that was not even invented yet, right? But
Mm.
but there was this expectation, not in particularly from my parents or anything, but in general in society, that you pick something and then you study that and you become good at that, and that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. I wish I had known that there are that it's okay to be a little bit like a bumblebee, that you do something that you are really not supposed to be able to do, and it's not a straight path. I wish somebody told me it's not going to be a straight path, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Now, you mentioned something that's interesting. You mentioned the bumblebee.
Yeah.
With the bumblebee not knowing what it's. Talk more about that.
Well, bumblebees they don't know they cannot fly, and they do it anyway.
Right.
They're really technically too heavy for flying, but they do it anyway, and nobody really knows why.
Yeah,
So
I
they
just think we all need to be more like the bumblebee sometimes, right? Just
yeah
because you like aerodynamically, the bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but nobody told
yeah
the bumblebee that.
yeah. Nobody told them. Yeah,
Interesting.
we should never tell our kids either
Yeah,
that they cannot fly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's talk about your journey. I mean, so from this moment in the library and all of that, how do you go from there to what you're doing now? What happened that got you to this point where you are now?
Well, I started in accounting. I don't know how that happened, but it was something about being eager to move away from home and start my own life. And it was a good salary in that business. So I think that was my criteria number one, and I was good with numbers. I've never regretted that I have solid economic uh, skills and experience. And I was in a smaller office where I could actually work with entrepreneurs because they came for accounting, but they have no idea how to market their business or do business. They were good at something else that was their business was about. So I think that's what started my interest for entrepreneurship. Then came the 90s, and IT was something everyone had to learn. So I became a teacher at the local, what is that called? Semi-public teaching institution, teaching adults how to use a computer. And I kind of learned it the day before myself. I taught it because nope, and I was more skilled than them, and that was about as good as a teacher that as they could get because nobody knew. So it was a fun time to teach that, and I remember especially teaching not to hit enter at the end of each line because that's what the ladies from the typewriters were used to. So that's kind of the level I was teaching, and then I was adding more classes. I taught economics, I taught communication, management, different things. And at some point, I felt like I had taken quite a lot of different educations. I think 6, but not at the highest level. So I decided to go back, not go back to school. I did it besides my job, studying in the evening, and I started to study innovation. And so from there, I kind of jumped into being head of innovation in an insurance company, which is also a mature industry. So it was education, insurance, accounting. And later on, I shifted to book publishing, which is also a mature industry. So you could say that's kind of the red thread that I'm looking for. How do you There's a teacher's mindset in innovation as well. You need to understand, not only generate great ideas, but understand why they're not implemented, because
Hmm.
that's a problem. That great ideas are not implemented in these mature industries. They have to protect their previous income streams, and that's difficult doing while they are also building new income streams. So I have an eye for understanding how difficult it can be for an industry to change. So I think that's one of the main common factors that has been throughout my career. Getting into book publishing actually happened because I was divorced. I quit my job as I was at that moment director in the insurance company, and I quit the job. And I was just like, every time they promoted me, I became more unhappy. So I loved it when it was innovation. The higher up you get in the organization, the less innovative it is. And
Interesting.
the more administrative work and management is just different. It becomes more management than leadership, really. So I was so unhappy in that I felt I had to leave myself at home, leave my personality at home, and just go get it done. And then I was successful doing that, but my soul was dying. So I quit that, and then I jumped on an airplane to go on an adventure in Peru. And when I got to Lima in Peru, I met a guy who introduced me to a small startup who were digitalizing print books, already published print books into ebooks. And within a short while, I helped him raise funds, and I became the CEO of this small company in Lima, Peru. So I stayed there for 2 years and learned self publishing from within. We were building a self publishing platform. So that's kind of yeah, fun story was that the Danish company who were the investors in that small company, they were my neighbors in Copenhagen. Never met them before.
Hmm.
Had to go to the other side of the world to meet them. So,
Yeah. You said something that stood out to me when you're talking about your journey. You said you felt like you had to leave your personality at home
Yeah.
to be able. I think that's a sign. If you're
Yes.
doing something and you have to leave your personality at home, you may not be doing the right thing.
Yeah. I even put words to it without taking it seriously myself. I kept talking about my inner gypsy. It's kind of a sign there's something inside that there's no space for coming out. So I live a more free life now. So I call myself a part-time digital nomad because I work only online and I can work from anywhere. So I travel a lot and I get to see a lot of the world this way. Yeah.
Okay. So why should the entrepreneurs that are watching and listening to us now, why should they consider becoming an author?
Well, New York Times did a research or study at some point. It's years ago, but 82% of all Americans felt they have a book inside them. That's quite of a lot. So if you're a person who has solid knowledge in some area, 8 out of 10 people would admire you for actually doing it. So that says something about
Hmm.
the credibility that it gives. And also the history of books is that the book concept is not new at all. So, but it's still relevant, and it we are programmed to believe that books are important, and we are that because historically it was the churches, the monasteries that's where they were copying books by writing what was in one book to one other book, right? That's how it all started, and later on it was the universities, and then we had this very mature publishing industry that are very selective due to their business model on who they publish. So they go for mainstream markets, broader segments, big prints, bigger editions of these books. So we have learned for many, many, many years that it's difficult to be published. So that kind of is what sparks that credibility. People think it must be very difficult to write a book, and it's not. So that's a pity. But especially for people with a speaking or teaching business, their knowledge is very organized. They are already conveying the same message in different media, in blog posts, in their podcast, in their talks, in their digital courses, in their in-person training, in their workshops. They are already conveying the same message and training people using usually a method or a process that they invented themselves. And they're super passionate about getting this to the world. And publishing a book is actually one of the best ways to do so. It gives the credibility, authority, but also can serve as a lead generator, offering a low-end product, not in quality, but in terms of price. So you have a smaller product that people can get to know the author. You can build trust. You can move them from wherever they are to a point where they're ready to buy your high-end services. So you can give them that knowledge, educate them, and build the trust in you as a guide on that journey that they really already want to have, but they may not be have enough information to be able to actually decide to go on that quest of whatever it is they want to achieve or avoid in their lives. Whatever it is they want to learn, they can kind of get a head start in your book. And if you can remove a few of those roadblocks for them that makes them pursue their goal, then they will be forever grateful and they will seek you out on social media and want to follow and learn more from you.
Yeah. So now you help entrepreneurs with this process. So if an entrepreneur comes to you and like people have said to me all the time, and you've mentioned it even today, hey, you know what? I've always had a book inside of me. I've got a great book inside of me. I just
Yeah.
need to get it out.
Yeah.
Malene, I need your help. So like, how would you work with that person?
I have, in terms of that kind of two different offers from my side. One is that I work with authors one-on-one. So that's everything from a blank page, and I just have an idea and I don't know how to create a structure, or I want help writing the book. So it can be one-on-one. And I also have a membership so that people can follow videos, and there are weekly Q&As and so. What I actually help them doing is to separate decision making from production. So one of the reasons why people, they usually call me on page 50. That's what I usually say.
Oh, page 50, is that the number?
That's the number. Third time on page 50, they call me.
So why page 50 though? Why do you think that is?
It's because the number one mistake that aspiring authors make is that they start writing before they're ready. So you shouldn't wait years to be ready. You should do the work to be ready, right? But it's about planning. It's about making all of the decisions. I know this is very simplified, but if we look at the right side of the brain as the creative part, the one with the overview, the one that kind of defines the task for the left side of the brain that is producing sequential text, word on word on word. That's a left side of the brain task. I know it's too simplified. It's not exactly like that, but it's a good image to understand where I'm going. So if your hands, even if you're a fast typer, you cannot type as fast as you can think. So if you haven't thought it through before you start writing, then your right brain will even see the words as images, and it will start creating all of these great ideas. And you can keep changing your structure over and over and over, and you're not sure how long the book is going to be. You're not sure exactly what your key message is. You kind of get lost in your own book. So making all of these decisions beforehand, when we create a disposition, it might be 15 or 20 pages long. So it's not just 5 bullets. It's making all of the decisions before we even start typing. And if you want to do it fast, then you can actually also choose to speak it. And this way, it will be your voice. And especially if you work with an editor or a ghostwriter, from that point, you can hand over the audio files and they can do the work for you. So if you're a busy entrepreneur, you don't need to do all of the work yourself. We just need to get it out of your brain and make it visible to someone else. But still, it's much faster, and making all of these decisions, creating the very detailed disposition, the outline in much detail, and then speaking it. You can do that within a week. And transcribing it can be done automatically in a few hours, and then it's just editing from there. But the advantage of doing this is that you will have the complete, you have the beginning, you have the middle, and you have the end. So you have the entire book already. So you can edit from there, but at any point in time, you can decide it's done. Whereas if you start from the top and you get to page 75, you have little sense of whether it's going to be 250 pages or 450 pages. And you might end up rewriting, editing, or so for years. Yeah.
Well, I've got an embarrassing confession to make, and it's kind of lead to my next question. So, I'm writing my book, The Discipline of Now. It took me 6 years.
Yes, common story.
Right. And the irony behind that is that it's a book about overcoming procrastination. So I could have used your help, you know. So what advice? Because you help people to write a book in 30 days, right?
Yeah.
I know you kind of touched on it. What should people do if they want to write a great book in 30 days?
They should definitely follow these steps, that they make the decisions first, then they should speak their book, and they should probably get help editing it. Unless they are vivid writers and they're already used to writing a lot, then they can edit fast. But it's not everyone who are equally good at overlooking such a huge amount of text all at once. So that's a good part to get a little bit of help. But you can definitely do it yourself, and it doesn't have to be 30 either. It could be 60 or 90 days. But it should definitely not be years. Every hour you spend on your book is an hour you're not billing someone else. So rather buy a faster process. That would be my recommendation. And also, when it takes too long, what happened to you was not just procrastination. Then life happens, right?
Yeah.
Haitian time, Christmas is up, new launch, and I also need to do this promotion. And there was a new customer. Things will happen if it takes months and months and months. Things will happen that is further delaying it, and then you need to start all over, reading again. What did I already write? So you are actually doing a lot of extra work that way. So we want to get to that first full draft as quickly as possible, and then improve from there.
Yeah, what you said, one of the things I think that I eventually discovered was getting out of this habit of writing and editing at the same time, right? I went through this little writing class and they said, okay, think about your book, think about a chapter of your book, and just write whatever comes to mind. Don't stop and edit it. No matter how crazy it sounds, just get it on paper.
Yeah.
And that was like a game changer for me because that was like the introduction of my book.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that? This idea of just not writing and editing at the
Yes.
same time?
I still think that what will definitely, even if you use that method, having made all of this decision first, I have that outline that is super specific, that will speed it up a lot. It definitely will. So for some,
that's a great point.
For some it works. Just setting off an hour a day, and they write and they write and they write, but you cannot do it in 30 days. You will have to write a lot every day to do that. It's much easier to speak it. This latest book that I just, it's only in pre-order on my own website for now, so it's not actually published yet. But I actually, for the first time, used artificial intelligence for writing some of the chapters. That was fun. So I prompt a robot to write an article about this, and it should include this, this, and that. And I go make coffee, and it just it writes the book for me. So I actually wrote 3 of the chapters in 2 days doing that. And of course it needed editing, but it actually came up with ideas that I hadn't had. Even though I made this detailed disposition, it was never in my mind to touch upon these things. So it has, these robots, they have read about 10% of the entire internet, and they are trained to predicting what you might want to say next. But it's all original text. It's never copy paste. They never had a copyright infringement case of any kind. So it is really original text, but it's trained to predict from what is already in my document, what might I want to say next. That was fun. That was super fun. I even created the book cover using artificial intelligence. Prompted 10 words, did a few tries. I needed to learn also how do I actually instruct it. 10 words, and it created the best cover image I couldn't even have described. That's what I wanted. So I put in human and robot is creating a book, and it has to be in sap ice cream colors, and it created my book cover for me.
I don't know, Ted. I'm getting some ideas. You know, we need to write a book about the 30-minute hour using a robot. What do you think, Ted?
I think that's a good idea. Find that robot that can do it.
Yeah. So I mean, how did you get a hold of this artificial intelligence technology and program it?
Well, my personality is, I was head of innovation before, so I actually, this is based on artificial intelligence and also blockchain technology. These are the kind of the 2 main inventions that was part of this book project, and I already learned about this 15 years ago when I was head of innovation. So it's not new, but it's been for the geeks in the basements, pioneers before. They have been developing this technology, and now it's like any technology adoption curve is like what is that called? Parable? Is it called that in English? this normal shape. So it
Bell,
goes
oh, like a
slowly,
bell
slowly,
curve,
slowly
or
at the beginning, and then it takes off. And
okay.
it's right now breaking through the surface of becoming commercial solutions with a user interface that regular people like you and I can figure out how to use it. So I didn't program anything in that image. I just put normal human words in there and said, create this for me. And it did.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So hopefully some of the entrepreneurs that are watching this feel encouraged. There's just a lot of ways, because it's easy to look at something like writing a book and say, "Oh, but there's a lot of ways to do it, right? You
there
can get a
are, and I
book
hope,
coach. Go ahead.
and I really hope that's a key takeaway from all of what I've said so far. We kind of have draw a line in the sand and say there's the old world in which book publishing was all of this. It was difficult. It was difficult to get a publisher. It was impossible to publish a book without a publisher. Nowadays, entrepreneurs, they don't want a publisher. They think they do because isn't the brand adding to mine? Yes, but you're giving away your rights. It takes forever, and you're out of control of which decisions are made about the creation and the marketing of the book. So entrepreneurs should not want to have a publisher. They should want to do it themselves. And I hope these new technologies can kind of make clear we're in a new world now. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are some of the common book marketing mistakes that you see from authors that you work with?
There's really one that is, I could say, number one is lack of book marketing. Number two, lack of book marketing. And number three, lack of book marketing. The mistake people make is either they create the wrong book, and the wrong book can be a good book. It's just not the one that will grow their business.
Hmm.
So they're passionate about something, but they don't have a connection to what they're actually selling in their business. So there needs to be, they need to apply some funnel thinking. Then what are they supposed to do after they buy this book? The other one is to make it too broad. This book is for them, this audience, and this audience, and this audience. The more specific and niche focused it is, the higher the chance that it's going to rank higher and that it's going to speak directly to your target audience. So attracting a lot of readers is only helpful if it's your target audience for your business.
Mm.
So that's the second mistake. And the third one, I have to repeat, not marketing, doing any marketing, because people they are tired and exhausted after writing, and they are very focused on the actual publication and the launch, which is 2 or 3 days. It's the least important part. You should start promoting your book months before. That's why I'm telling you that my book is for pre-order on my website, and I haven't published it yet. And it's not because I didn't get around to it. It's because I want a long pre-sale period, because
Mm.
that's where the book is the most interesting for PR opportunities, for podcasters, for even to mature the idea among your own audience that they should be part of this book launch. Yeah. So
Awesome.
those are some of the most common mistakes.
No, that's great advice. I think there's some people that need to reach out to you. You know, they're thinking of writing a book, or they've just started writing a book, because there is a method to the madness, right? I mean, it helps to
Yes.
have a certain structure and a
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
That just increases the chances of your book being successful. So, speaking of book, you have a new book coming out, right? It's going
Yes.
to come out in November. It's called Next Gen. So, I'm sorry, Next Gen Author is the name of the book.
Yes.
So what can people expect when they read it?
Well, the thing is that we are used to that the internet is a certain way. I need to back up just a little bit. I'm not going to make it too long, but internet, the web one was back in the days when the internet was invented and it became available to us to have a company website and people could read that, or we could read a blog. but we could not as individuals be contributors to the internet. So that's Web 2, that's social media, where we all post things, we create articles, we create images. We are the product. We are creating all of the content that makes it possible for Facebook to do advertising. That's because we are the product with all of our content there, but we don't get a share of that profit. So some pioneers have been working on blockchain technology, which is really a power to the people idea that's behind it, to remove some of these intermediaries and make it make the creators, and in this case the readers, the owners of the content. So it's a huge, it's a big topic to discuss. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but a key takeaway is that the internet is about to change.
Hmm.
It's a brand new internet, and it has very little to do with what we know now. So it's from reading to writing to owning the internet. This creates new opportunities for authors. So it's all about the relationship between authors and readers. When you sell your book now, Eric, you don't know who bought it unless you sold it from your own personal website, but everything sold in a bookstore, 55% of, that's the number I could find at least, of all books are sold on Amazon. And they have a huge amount of data. That's the key asset they have. That's data. But you don't get any of that data so that you can work on these readers as leads for your business. Or you could provide more value to the reader afterwards, unless we can do something, small strategies within the book to kind of help them find us and motivate them to look us up. But we really don't have a direct connection. We will have that in Web3. So reading the book, without going much into the detail on that, reading the book will explain what the heck is Web3, what are NFTs, what are social tokens, and there are other books about these topics as well. So I've made it short, and then I spend the majority of the part of the book is the majority of the book is about what does that mean for authorship. And I call it to reimagine what authorship is actually about. And then I actually outline a strategy that will help you identify from the kind, I kind of come with four phrases, and you can choose which one of these four phrases is most likely to be how your target customer thinks about themselves. And from that, I help you decide all of this you now read in the book. What is it that you should consider as a strategy, as an offer for Web3? So I'm trying to break it down into some strategies. This is a very new area, and every week new services are showing up to help authors take advantage of this. So it will definitely reinvent the entire publishing industry. So it's worth looking into and starting educating yourself about understanding what is it that is actually happening. Because this is not just happening for book publishing. This will change all things marketing and business as well. So many of bigger brands, the entire fashion industry are all in on this. So it's not just tech companies, it's all industries that's going to be impacted about this. So we can choose to be first or last. And I remember when I was looking at this huge computer the first time, and I was frustrated that I knew I have to learn how to use this computer. And this will feel as big as a shift as that. It's going to change as much as that we got mobile cell phones. That changed everything around our behavior. This is equally big, but nobody knows yet. So there's a big opportunity to come out with something that is unique now, and create more like guerrilla marketing strategies and do something different. So I think that's super exciting that everything is possible now.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like you're ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. This is actually the first book on this topic.
Hmm.
It's not the first book on Web3 or on social tokens or on metaverse, but it's the first book that explains how authors can take advantage of this.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a game changer. So you've got the book. I mean, what else do you have coming up? Like, what's next for you on the horizon?
I think a lot of my time is gonna go with this book for now because
Yeah.
I'm gonna mark. I had a 35 days book writing plan, and then I have a 3 years marketing plan. Right?
Hmm.
so, so I have a lot of marketing to do around this book. And then I want to grow my author community as well. Which is it's fairly new that I turned it into a membership as well. So that's definitely going to be something. I imagine that I will probably also do more public speaking than I have been in a while, because this is a brand new topic, and not too many people have spent time diving into this. And I call myself a publishing rebel and a knowledge liberator. All of this great knowledge that we people have, it has to come out and be useful to other people. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Fantastic. And you have a podcast too, right?
Yeah, I have a podcast. It's kind of retired
Hmm.
because I want a little bit further down the line. I want to make a new one, but about this same topic as the book. But right now, I don't have the capacity, so I've chosen to be a guest instead for now.
And you're doing a fantastic job as a guest.
Thank you. You're
Sure.
very kind.
All right. So we're at the part of the show that we call Write This Down. And this is
Yeah.
where we each go around and we share at least one highlight from today's episode that we want our entrepreneur followers to write down so they can level up. So, Malene, you're the guest of honor. What should the people write down?
Well, for those who want to become an author, stop focusing on writing and create a great marketing plan. Because if you do that, you will know what's going to have to be in the book. So it's the other way around. Start with the marketing and keep the end in mind. What is it it's going to sell, this book? And then don't worry too much about the writing part. If you find it troublesome, find someone to help you do the writing part. It's the strategy that's important. And I also want people to write down that the internet as we know it is about to change. So we can educate ourselves, or we can wait and we will be forced into it. So I prefer to start educating myself, and then it will feel less troublesome when I am forced, because we will be, all of us. And yeah, that's kind of my third point, that start educating yourself about, especially as an author, about Web3, yes, but especially actually about NFTs. So that's non-fungible tokens. There are tons of videos about it explaining into details, but that's the part of Web3 that is the most relevant and a game changer for authors.
No, a lot of stuff to write down there. The internet's about to change, non-fundable tokens, focusing on the marketing. Yeah. I think really you have to be more strategic with the book and less tactical. It sounds like that's what I hear you saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 No, that's great. Hopefully you the entrepreneurs watching this, you wrote that down. All right, Ted, your turn.
So Eric knows that I've been talking about a book forever, and so I just appreciate the fact that Eric didn't say, "This guy down here, the guy in the box below, he's the one that, yeah, he's been doing this forever. Like, get him." No, but I mean, you made everything just seem so, so straightforward, because that's one of the things that it's always like, when am I going to be able to sit down and write?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just like, when can you squeeze that time in? And, and it sounds like, you're just saying, hey, you're thinking about the strategy and how you're going to market it, and kind of backing in and backing into it, and just thinking about it like that. It does make it seem like it'll be easier to write with that end in mind.
Yeah.
And so, Yeah.
And
So
and it's just also it's a lot more fun to get out there and talk about the book. It's a conversation starter. You always have an excuse to talk to people when you have a book. So it's just about getting that over that first hurdle as quickly as possible, and not
yeah.
think too much about it. Get the help you need, because and I like the point about the billing hours. If you spend way too much time on that, there are other stuff in your business you're not doing. So it's speeding that process up. And if you need help, get help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now this is great, and so my piece for this segment, it has to do with the marketing, because like I've discovered, like you would think, like for example, I even take it to the world of public speaking. Like you would think the biggest issue is being able to get on stage in front of hundreds of people,
Yeah.
and then and the talk and have a coherent message. But from a business standpoint, that's not the issue at all. It's just like with the book, it's the marketing.
Yes.
The big thing that trips people up, and it's with anything, is the marketing. That's where people fall short. It's the ability to get your message out there and get the next speech, and then one after that. And it's
Yes.
just like with a book, you have to be more strategic than tactical. You can't
Yes.
just think about, okay, I'm gonna get this microphone and I'm gonna say this. You you really have to have a plan. You have to know what the end is going to be, then work backwards. And I think it's the exact same thing with the book process, right? You really
Yes.
have to focus on being strategic,
Yes.
and I think you have to be open to getting help from the beginning.
Yes.
I mean, I think those are huge things. Whether you're talking about a book, whether you're talking about any type of business, I think if you can get strategic, and if you can be open to getting help and understanding how critical the marketing it is to your success,
Yeah.
you can really take that thing to the next level.
Yes. For
Definitely.
some reason, many people are under prioritizing that, and I think I'm so passionate about this topic also because it's it's really also, I wrote a book about that too, Marketing Made Human, because and it's about how to remove that fear, because it's really, we just need to shift our mindset, what it's really about. It's fun to talk about something you're passionate about. So
Hmm.
if you and bringing it back to the book, if you write something with an edge, something with an opinion that is, if you dare to be very different in what you're saying or how you're saying it, or even the formatting, the looks of it can be what's different. Then it's fun to promote it. Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? So I know of some books that if you when you read it, and I read a lot, there's really not a lot of new information in the books. There's really not anything. But this book is selling millions of copies.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Because the marketing. They
Yeah.
have a good strategy. They've
Yeah.
got they've got those details worked out, and it's not so
Exactly.
much that the book is just this new information that no one's ever heard. So it just shows you how critical, how much of a difference the right marketing can make to anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. All right. And this has been a fantastic episode. We certainly want to thank Malene Bendtsen for joining us from Denmark. Um, how can the people connect with you to get more information?
Yeah. First, thank you for having me. It's been fun. Um, I have a website called goosebump.pop. So not .com, but .pop as in publishing. Goosebump.pop. It's not for the beers, it's for publishing.
Thanks for clarifying that. That's
That's clarified. Now they can remember it too. When you tell a story, people can remember. So goosebump.pop. There's an opportunity actually to have a free membership inside of also called goosebump.world, but it's from the .pop website that you would find that. So it's on the front page. You can easily find it. There's a membership and there's a free membership. So that's a place to start also. You will get small tips and free events and so. Yeah. Or LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm quite active on both of those places as well. And I'm just Malene Bendtsen there.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing everything that you shared. I know you helped quite a few entrepreneurs today. This has been a wonderful episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. Don't forget to go back and share the show. First off,
Share the show.
that's right. You got to share the show. Don't keep this great information to yourself. Don't keep it a secret. But you can definitely go and listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of those other places. Thank you for having this conversation with us. And until next time, have a great one.